Welcome back to Wild Media. You're watching one of our podcast episodes. If you enjoyed this episode, hit the like button and comment your favourite part down below, and I'll see you in the episode. Hello everyone, welcome back to Game of Clones, my little Star Wars podcast that I've started. Hopefully you've enjoyed the last episode we did. That was where I ranked every single Star Wars movie and TV show out there at the minute. Could be quite controversial, but I'm happy with how it went. Today we're doing something a little bit different. We are reviewing the entire Star Wars The Clone Wars Season 1, and going forward we'll do Season 2 to Season 7 as well. But I thought I wouldn't do this journey alone. I've got my very good friend here. If you'd like to introduce yourself.
Hey guys, my name is Sam. I'm quite a Star Wars fan myself, especially during this lockdown. I've become quite the weeb. That's basically me studying computer science. Let me give myself a Star Wars fun fact. I'm a prequel fanboy. I actually love episode 1, which is quite a controversial opinion, but you know.
No, wow. I did a whole Star Wars episode about how it was underrated. It's definitely It's I don't understand how it gets so much hate, but I love it.
I think it's all the Jar Jar Binks.
Yeah, I mean I can understand that, but we all know he is the main Sith Lord behind everything. But that's for a whole nother discussion. So yeah, now I have quite a few friends who aren't on the same Clone Wars hype that I'm on, and I think through my Star Wars podcast, I've managed to get Sam into the Clone Wars. Yeah. So this is sort of a review from like a first time watching it, and then like a 100th time watching it, because I've rewatched the Clone Wars like at least 4 times now, which is quite a lot of episodes, but it's worth it for me. So there'll be some stuff that I know that happens in the other seasons that sort of reflect my overall review, but for Sam it will be a bit different. But let's get straight into it. So we're going to review this by story arc. So there are some episodes in the season that are like one-offs. Like the first episode is sort of a one-off in the season, but overall it's got a few other episodes that lead into it in the other seasons. But then there are other episodes that are compact together, and then we don't ever really hear of them ever again. So we won't go like episode 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We'll do them by story, if that makes sense to you guys. But I've already pre-warned Sam about this, so he knows about it. So without further ado, we're episode 1, Ambush. This was where Yoda meets up with, I can't remember the name of the species, but it's one of the generals in one of the other planets, and he tries to convince him to join the Republic, but then Ventress comes, and I was like, no, join us, we're cooler. And then Yoda basically battles out with all of the droids with his clone troopers and wins. What did you think to the episode?
You know what? I liked it. So yeah, as you were saying with episode 1, it was quite like episodic, so it wasn't the beginning of an arc or something like that. So I thought it was actually a good start to what the Clone Wars is about, because you know you're seeing the clones, you're seeing Yoda facing off against them, and you see Ventress, who's obviously affiliated with the Sith and all of that kind of jazz. So it was pretty cool. I think, coming into it, because with the Clone Wars, it expands obviously on the Clone Wars, but it expands just, you know, seeing a lot of the adventures that the Jedi and the clones actually go into. So yeah, I did enjoy that, and see like the dynamics between like a Jedi Master and his like squad of clones, and seeing the whole leadership with that was pretty cool to see as well. Yeah,
definitely. I think it's definitely a great way to start off the show. Obviously there was the pre-movie that maybe we'll do another review of, but I think for a first episode it really does capture a good audience, and we get to see, like as you said, the dynamics between Jedi and the clones. It would have been cool if there was like a major like lightsaber fight between Yoda and Ventress. Staying in between the 22-minute runtime, it would have been quite difficult to do. But it's definitely a solid episode.
I think they were smart to like, obviously if this is like the first episode of the Clone Wars, right? It's like introduce it to the fans. they were smart to probably put Yoda in the first episode because
Yeah,
Yoda is just so lovable. Either him or like Obi-Wan or
yeah.
Anakin. Yeah,
No, I think because obviously we had the movie
yeah,
first. I think that's probably why they chose Yoda first,
yeah.
because we'd already had the Obi-Wan and Anakin action. But I think it was one of my favorite episodes, and we see all these like cool weapons as well, like the machine gun
Oh
turret,
yeah,
the handheld turret, and then the rocket launcher and all this other stuff
yeah. It's
as
pretty
well.
cool.
Yeah, I'd probably say it's one of the better episodes of the season,
Mm,
and so it definitely starts off strong. Um, but I don't want to say too much. Like it starts off really strong, and then like season 1 starts off strong, and then season 7 also ends really strong. So it's a nice
wow.
strong
Yeah.
sandwich, I'll call it. But yeah, I don't think we need to say any more about episode 1. So
Mm,
let's move on to episodes. We're going to go on to the Malevolence arc now, which is 2, 3, and 4.
yes.
Starts off with Jedi Master Plo Koon. I want to say his name right. And his like ships all getting like destroyed by General Grievous in his new ship called the Malevolence, which has this like
Mm.
energy cannon or ion
Oh
cannon,
yeah.
which takes out all of the fleet, and then they can just shoot them off without any defenses or whatever. And then Anakin and Ahsoka, Anakin's new Padawan, go and rescue the survivors, which is just Plo Koon and 3 other clone troopers.
Yeah.
And then they manage to get away. And then episode 3 sees them return and destroy the ion cannon. And then episode 4, somehow Padme gets involved, and I think it's because obviously, spoiler alert, which isn't a major spoiler anymore. Chancellor Palpatine is Darth Sidious, and she
Mm,
says that the Chancellor gave her a special mission to go to these coordinates and do whatever, but then they were the wrong coordinates, and she ends
mm.
up in the middle of the battle. The Grievous captures her, and then Anakin, Obi-Wan. I don't think Ahsoka was involved, but Obi-Wan and Anakin
No.
go and save her, and they manage to do so, and then destroy the ship as well.
Yeah.
What did you think to that story arc?
I thought, okay, so yeah, I liked it. Um, so as I said in the introduction, I'm like a prequel fanboy. So
Yeah,
with episode 2, Attack of the Clones, obviously General Grievous is in episode 2. So as a kid, when I first watched it, I loved General Grievous and the fact that he has like
yeah.
how
I
many
thought
lightsabers.
General Grievous was in episode 3, wasn't he? Not episode 2.
Oh, maybe, yeah, maybe episode 3. I can't remember which one specifically, but and then Obi-Wan and General Grievous have that cool fight. So
Yeah,
I always liked General Grievous and the fact that he has like I don't know how many lightsabers, but yeah. So
yeah.
see,
He's got 4 lightsabers, but
4,
he says he's
yeah,
got like a massive collection of them, but he uses
yeah.
4 in battle.
So seeing him in the Clone Wars was really cool. Um, and yeah, I enjoyed it. It was funny how like Padme just comes in at the last minute,
Yeah,
but it was interesting to see Padme in this light because from the films you don't really see Padme like that.
mm,
Padme's always, either at the Senate or with the romance of Anakin and stuff. So to kind of see her in action, and obviously Anakin's obviously like rescuing her, but like yeah, so seeing that kind of dynamic was pretty cool. And then just seeing General Grievous in animated form was really really cool to see.
yeah, definitely, because it's definitely the main trio of the prequel trilogy. It's
Yeah,
Obi-Wan, Anakin, and Padme, like all involved. And we do get, I think in episode 2 in the Geonosis arena, we do get to see that sort of
oh yeah,
like badass side to Padme, where she can like fight people and stuff like that. And also in episode 1 where they retake the palace, if you remember that.
oh yeah, I remember
So
that now.
it's just
Yeah,
sort of, I like how it like continues that. But then thinking back to like episode 1 and 2, she is done like pretty dirty in episode 3, where she just gets pregnant and dies.
basically,
That's all she does in episode 3. Spoiler alert, sorry. So it's cool that we get to see her, and like she is actually this cool person and not just
yeah,
like a public figure to the people. I think I don't want to say too much about Grievous, but I think he is done a little bit dirty because he's got 4 lightsabers. He should just be able to kill anyone
yeah.
very easily. So I think they've definitely made him
It
appear
would
a
be
lot cooler than
yeah,
he actually is, but he is definitely one of the cooler bad guy characters out there.
yeah,
It'd be
definitely.
nice if they actually made him this beast that he is. But later on in the season, we do get to see more of a side to him. but we'll touch on that in a few points time. But yeah, I thought it was funny how like there were lots of like funny moments with the droids. Like there were some lines where like and then they're like, oh no, never mind, and then they just get chopped up to bits. I think R2 and C3PO played quite a heavy role in it as well, and that's one of the fun things about Star Wars, is that they're always like they're having their own mini adventures whilst everyone is doing their thing, and then they all come together at the end. So it was very reminiscent of like episodes 2 of the Clone Wars.
Oh yeah, definitely.
I think that's why it's very good. I think again it's one of the more fun story arcs of the Clone Wars, and I definitely rate it pretty highly.
Yeah, I think it's a great, like, because this is basically the first story arc, isn't it? So it's quite a strong story arc to start with, I think.
Yeah, and it's got to be quite strong as well to keep audiences captivated, because otherwise, like the first story arc is what people tend to remember, and then the last ones as well. So you got to start off strong, and then maybe have a little dip in the middle, and then go up again, which is what tends to happen. I think we've said enough about those episodes. Is there anything you want to add on that Malevolent stuff?
No, I wouldn't say so. No. It was just cool to see, like, as you said, just like see the trio, like Obi-Wan, Anakin, Padme.
Yeah, definitely. All right, and then moving on to episode 5. This is the Rookies episode. This is where there's this outpost with all these rookie clones who aren't amazing. Like not your typical like Commander Cody's, Captain Rex's and stuff. It's just 5, but then they become much more like prominent in the later seasons. And they're on this outpost, and then they get attacked by some droids to take over the base, so then that they can attack Kamino. But then there's this inspection from Captain Rex and Commander Cody. They find out, and then they have to retake the base from the droids with the help of the rookies. And a few of them sacrifice themselves to destroy the outpost, and then the Republic know that there's been an attack, and then they send back up, and then they save the day. What did you think of this episode?
Okay, yeah, so this episode was cool to see basically one just centered on the clones. I don't think any Jedi, no Jedi appears in this episode. It's just focusing on these guys and the rookies as well. Because it was pretty cool to see. So some of the rookies were like, why are we even here? Nothing happens here, and that kind of stuff like that. Yeah. So it's pretty cool. Because, there's the whole sense, the clones, they're clones, isn't it? So they have been kind of like, they were made in the labs and all of that kind of stuff. So they were made for war. So it's just interesting for these rookies to come in and just see a bit of that. I don't think the films don't really give the lens on like the clones' perspective per se. Yeah. So it's cool with like this episode to see it. And I think the droids that attacked, correct me if I'm wrong, but they were, I can't remember the name of them, but the droids were pretty.
Yeah, they're commando droids.
Commando droids. They were pretty awesome as well.
It was like the first time we ever see anything like those as well, because we're just used to the standard battle droids and then the super battle droids. Yeah. And also like the droidicas. So this was like our first time getting a look at what the bad guys have and some of their more tactical stuff.
Yeah, definitely.
And they were cool. Like they had, like most of them had like these cool swords as well, not just guns. So they could do like these cool stealth moves and stuff. And like I think like what you said about the clones as well, because we only really see Commander Cody talk to like Obi-Wan, and that's the only real interaction. And then the rest are all just random people in armor in episodes 2 and 3. And then coming back to it, you get to see actually, these aren't just clones. They've all got different personalities and stuff as well.
Yeah.
So that's something that I definitely enjoyed as well.
Yeah, definitely.
And then I think the way that I think it was the clone trooper was called Heavy, and then when like he blew up the base himself and was like, you guys can you guys save the day, like get back to the base, you guys need to stay alive. I thought that was like the heroic end as well.
Yeah, it kind of brings the whole like military kind of war kind of vibe, isn't it? Because with the Jedis, like they're Jedi Knights and that. But I guess the Jedis bring this more sense of like fantasy or like not supernatural, but like that kind of style with the force and everything. But then,
Yeah.
the clones is pretty cool. And I love how some of the clones have like Australian accents as well, I
Yeah.
think, which is
Yeah, I
pretty
think
funny as well.
I think they're all voiced by the same
Oh,
actor, but he
okay.
might do like little twists and stuff with different
Yeah.
clones because obviously I think they've touched on it in like in the show, but some of them have like got different mutations and stuff. So
Mm.
some will probably sound a little bit different to others, and some will be different sizes and stuff. But I think a lot of the time I didn't really notice it. It was only mainly when like it was a person like Captain Rex talking with
Oh,
other
yeah.
clones that you sort of notice the difference. But I
Yeah.
think throughout the lesser characters, they all sort of do sound the same to me. But it's interesting that you notice that from like at
Yeah.
first. Maybe it's just me watching it so many times. I'm like, oh, they all sound the same. Then you're like, oh wait, why is this one Australian? Why is this one that?
No, actually,
There
yeah.
was one actually thinking about. There was one with like a Scottish accent.
Yeah, yeah. I think I noticed the Australian one from like episode one. I don't know. It just kind of hit me. It made me laugh.
Yeah, that was good. Is there anything else you want to say about that episode?
Um,
I think
yeah,
to me it sort of felt like sort of like a mini Call of Duty episode
yeah,
because
yeah,
they're all there like doing like they're shooting up and then taking the base and stuff.
yeah.
It did
Because
feel
they do like an explosion, isn't it? Like to try and I don't know if it's like to fake their death or it's for like a stealth attack, isn't it?
yeah,
Um, but yeah, can't remember, but yeah, that was pretty cool.
yeah. No, it was definitely like a more like one of the cooler episodes because we don't really see a lot of the clones in the movies. It was cool that we
Mm,
got to see this new side to them as well, and I think going forward it made it like want us to see more of them in the
yeah,
other episodes as
definitely.
well. Um, yeah, I think that's all I have to say about the episode unless you want to add anything.
Nah, I'm good.
Cool. All right. We'll move on to the next episode or episodes. I've called it the droid arc, but it's where R2D2 goes missing in action after a fight, and then Ahsoka finds Anakin a replacement droid, but the replacement droid is secretly a spy for General Grievous.
Yeah,
Ooh. And then it's sort of them going back to find R2, and then they figure out he's on an enemy base and they have to go there and then blow up the base as well because
mm,
what is Star Wars without blowing up a base? um, and I thought it was pretty interesting. It's not one of my favorite story arcs, but I
mm.
did think it was pretty cool to see how like there are these other little spies and how like droids can
Yeah,
be used as spies as well.
yeah,
Um,
yeah,
I think in this episode or in episode 7 particularly, they definitely play down General Grievous by a lot because he has like a one-on-one fight scene between him and Ahsoka
oh
isn't even
yeah,
like this major character yet. She's just a little Padawan. She should not be able to fight against
oh
General
yeah,
Grievous and survive. So I thought they did him a little bit dirty in
mm,
that. Um, do you have anything
yeah.
else you want to say about?
Yeah, this, yeah, I fully agree with you. It wasn't the most of my, like, it wasn't my favorite ones. It was funny though, because I think at like the end of this story arc is when like, the base is blowing up and it's like R2D2 versus the
Yeah,
enemy, yeah, the enemy droid. So that was kind of cool to see. Uh, I think what was cool as well was seeing Anakin's relationship with R2. Like you
mm,
know that Anakin loves R2 through the movies, but like just seeing it as well in this episode. And I think as well what was really funny, there's a scene where like they reunite again.
yeah,
And obviously we don't understand R2, but like he's basically telling him off because he replaced him basically.
yeah,
And I thought that's kind of funny. Um
yeah, definitely.
so yeah, it was pretty cool seeing that, I guess.
Mm. No, I think at like the start of the story when like just before R2 goes missing, there was like this. They're having like a space battle between the Republic and the Separatists, and
Yeah.
like they put loads of tanks on asteroids,
Oh yeah.
and then when like the enemy goes past and the asteroids turn around, there's all these tanks just firing from behind them in the ship. I thought that was like a really cool scene that they put in there. It made
Yeah.
it look like, oh, this is like crazy. This is really cool.
Yeah. No, yeah,
Um,
definitely. And I
and
think sorry, I think that's interesting that you say that as well, because so when you think of Star Wars in the movies and stuff, maybe not necessarily with like the prequels, but with like the originals, right?
mhm,
In terms of like the budget or just like technology, We
Yeah.
didn't have the technology to show all of that kind of things. And if we did, it was like in the freeze frames and
Yeah.
the, like it wasn't for long. So seeing all these stuff, obviously in animation and how technology has improved, like we can
Yeah.
afford that and we've developed that kind of technology. So it's pretty cool to see these things because obviously we didn't see it in the films as well.
Yeah.
Or
Definitely.
like, yeah, the films weren't going to dedicate 5 minutes or like 10 minutes of R2 fighting another droid.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was
No,
pretty cool.
it feels like George Lucas was just like, you guys, I've got this idea. You got to do it. I wasn't able to
Yeah.
do this 40 years ago, but you could do it now.
Yeah.
Um, uh, I think that's sort of all I have to say about that little arc. I think
Mm,
in terms of the whole season, I think it was probably relatively like it's about midway and like
mm,
in terms of like best to worst.
yeah.
It wasn't bad, but it was definitely okay.
Mm,
I give it a solid approval. All right, and then moving on to the next, like it's sort of a 3 episode arc. We've got episode 8, 9, and 10. I've called this the Gunray arc, but it's what
mm,
it starts off with Padme and Jar Jar going to a planet that's in need and trying to like get them to join the Republic so that they can help them without having to go through any logistics. And they're like, oh, sorry, we've just joined the bad guys, which is
oh
New
yeah.
Gunray and the Separatists. And then they capture Padme, and then they think that Jar Jar is a Jedi, and then he somehow survives everything, and then he contacts Republic, and the Republic come and save them, and then they capture Nute Gunray. Episode 9 is Ahsoka Tano and Luminara unduly transporting him back to Coruscant, but then Ventress comes and attacks, and then
Mm,
it reveals that she's actually got a spy who's the main um, commander of the Republic
oh
Guard
yeah.
or whatever. I think that's what it is. And then they recapture Gunray or free him and take him back using one of the old ships. And then they realize, oh, we can track the ship. And they track the ship. And then episode 10, it's Kit Fisto and his
Oh
old
yeah.
Padawan and his troop going to recapture Gunray, only to find out that it's just a hologram in the lair of General Grievous. And
Yeah.
it's all about them escaping General Grievous and maybe trying to capture him. But it's mainly about
Yeah.
them escaping. What did you think to the story arc?
Um, I liked it. I like Ventress. I think she's pretty cool. But yeah, no, I think yes. Let's go to the first one. So the story arc. So yeah, that was just a funny episode, isn't it? Seeing like
Yeah,
Jar Jar, just how he just manages to survive, basically.
yeah,
That was pretty funny. And then seeing because I think he gets I don't know if he gets ambushed or he gets like attacked and he falls in like the sewers or like he
yeah,
falls and then like he meets that monster, so that was pretty, and then the monster's helping Jar Jar.
yeah,
So I thought that was pretty cool. Um and just Padme, I guess like seeing Padme being pretty because she was kidnapped, but then like she managed to break out, I think.
yeah. She broke out by herself, but then
Yeah, that
everyone
was
thought it
pretty
was the
cool.
Jedi who freed her, but she's like, no, it's
Yeah.
me.
Yeah. So I guess that was funny because I know there's a lot of fan theories of, Jar Jar being like the Sith Lord and stuff. So like seeing this episode with everyone thinking Jar Jar's a Jedi, that was pretty cool to see as
Yeah.
well. Yeah.
Do
And
you think
then
maybe that was the creators having a little laugh at themselves and saying, "Oh, I should make Jar Jar a Jedi just for a laugh"?
yeah, no, I think so, definitely. Yeah. I think yeah. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. No, I think it's cool, and I think the next episode following from that, I thought that was like really cool seeing like Ahsoka working with other Jedi's and learning, not just being
Yeah.
like Anakin's Padawan, but also like seeing that they sort of have transferable teachers sometimes,
Yeah. Yeah,
depending on
that
what's
was cool.
happening. Um, and like I say,
Yeah.
Ventress is probably one of the cooler characters. Like in the Clone Wars, like when the Clone Wars, like the series finished, they released a book sort of saying how her story arc comes to a close. Because
Okay.
obviously it's just left in the blue, sort of what happens to her. I was a bit disappointed with that. I'd have loved for them to like actually animate it, but
Yeah.
like she was like cool enough for me to actually go out. Well, I work at a book printers, and luckily we printed the book and we printed extra, so I managed to just read it at work.
Oh, that's
Um,
pretty cool.
um, but yeah, it was definitely cool. She managed to get me into reading, and no one could do that. um, but what did you think to that episode?
Yeah, no, I like that episode. Especially seeing, is it Luminara?
Yeah,
Yeah, she's cool. Um, because she wasn't agreeing with Ahsoka, isn't it? Like Ahsoka was just
yeah,
like, we need to go after him, or like all this kind of stuff. And like she basically was just like, this is not the way, or like, like
yeah,
patience Padawan and stuff like that. So it was kind of cool to see that.
Yeah.
Because like one of the themes in Star Wars is the sense of like, with, you know how like, you know, with the Republic falling, it's the sense of like the Jedi's having this massive pride, and it's like, you know, whatever they say goes basically.
Yeah.
I guess kind of exploring that through the clone, like within the episodes, is pretty cool to see. And yeah, as you said, Ventress is cool. Because with the movies, obviously, like the Sith and the Rule of Two, you don't see a lot of dark side kind of users.
Yeah.
And Ventress is, yeah, as you're saying, she is a really cool character. So I liked that episode.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, with the Rule of Two, like, because everyone's like, oh, why is there a second woman? But she's not technically she's just an assassin.
Yeah.
Probably like Dooku is probably like planning. I can't say too much because I know what happens, but at this stage she's probably planning like, I'm going to train her up, use the Force, and use her as an assassin. But then when it comes to it, I'll kill Palpatine, and then she'll be my apprentice.
Oh yeah,
that's probably cool. What he's planning at that stage. But no, I thought it was cool. And then episode 10 is probably one of my favorite ever episodes.
Yeah,
because Kit Fisto is one of my favorite characters in Star Wars of all time. I don't know why, I just really like him. I think getting to see him in action is really cool.
Yeah, he's cool.
And we also get to see General Grievous be a bit more what we expect him to be.
Yeah,
because he like basically, with the help of his monster, he takes out all of the clone escorts, and then he defeats the Jedi. I think his name's Nadar, something like that.
Yeah.
And he does what you'd expect him to do. He like blocks the lightsaber with one of his, and then he just does what anyone would do, and just grabs with one of his forearms, just shoots him. And that's what, like, you think, why do you do this all the time? It makes so much sense. And I thought it was really cool. And then seeing Kit Fisto like escape, and like him like dual wielding 2 lightsabers.
Yeah, that's cool.
It's sort of reminiscent of episode 2 where Anakin does it for a little bit against Dooku. It was like, so much nostalgia. It's awesome.
Yeah, no, definitely. I enjoyed that as well. So when I was watching it, I was a bit not confused, but I thought, because obviously Grievous takes out Nadar, right?
Yeah.
And Nadar was basically like, he was just enraged, basically. Yeah. Like, he was just like going at him. And I thought that was interesting to see, because, you know, with the Jedi, they always like control your emotions.
Yeah.
Like, if you let anger get the better of you, that's a way to go down the dark side. So I saw that as like the dark potentially, like that could potentially happen to him. Because in the sense that, like, you know, how he let his anger get the better of him, and obviously it didn't end well. But yeah, I liked seeing that, because especially from the movies, the only person that you really saw like a Jedi being unhinged was basically Anakin. Yeah. Like every other Jedi was so composed and so like, well. So yeah, that was pretty cool to see.
Yeah, definitely. It's a shame. I think he'd have been a cool character going forward, so it was a shame that he like was brought to an end. But
yeah,
that's what happens, really. You can't. Yeah. General Grievous is known as like the Jedi killer, so you can't you can't have him not kill a single Jedi throughout the whole show.
Oh yeah, that's literally what I was gonna say. Like, yeah, it had to happen, because the amount of episodes that Grievous basically says like, "I kill your kind and take like your sabers." Like we had to see that. We have to. So yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, someone just rang me, so I was fine. I had because my phone's connected to my laptop, I had it going through my ear. I was like, wait, what's happening? I don't know what's happening. But yeah, no, I agree with you, definitely. Anything else you want to add about that story arc?
No, I wouldn't say so. I guess, yeah, as you were saying, Kit Fisto was pretty cool. And when watching that episode, I didn't think Kit Fisto was going to make it. I didn't think he was going to survive. So I guess the fact that he did, yeah, that was pretty cool to see.
Yeah. I mean, I guess we do know he survived, because he was, you know, when Mace Windu and Palpatine fight in episode 3.
Oh yeah, yeah.
He was part of the squad, so I sort of knew he was going to survive watching it. But I thought it was cool, like how he escaped, and how like his droid was like flying a ship, and then he just did this cool somersault and landed in the cockpit. As that's just cool.
That was pretty cool.
But I think that sort of covers that arc. Up next, we've got the pirate arc, or the start of like the pirate series. This is episodes 11 and 12. Starts off with Dooku, or Anakin and Obi-Wan trying to capture Dooku. They flee, crash on a planet, and then somehow escape. Dooku stumbles across the pirates and he's like, "Oh, I'll go with you, hitch a ride." And then they're like, "Turn on you. We're gonna capture you and sell you to the Republic for some money."
Yeah.
And then, I think Rex and Ahsoka find Anakin and Obi-Wan, save them just before they get poisoned, something like that. And
Yeah.
then,
It's like a monster, I think.
yeah, I think it's like a mix. They're stuck in a cave.
And there's like gas, right?
Yeah. So it's like a mixture of all these different things. And
Yeah.
they save the day, and then they're like, "Okay, we know where he is. He's at this." Oh no, the pirates contact the Republic, and like, "We have Count Dooku. Here's his lightsaber to prove it." And then, they're like, "Okay, we're going to send everyone and Anakin to verify it, and then we'll give you the money and take him." And then they're like, they go, and then Anakin and Obi-Wan get captured. So my Alexa just went off for some reason. Maybe Jeff Bezos is listening to me. Anakin and Obi-Wan go verify it, and then they get captured by the pirates because I think they get drugged or something like that. And then the next episode is them basically working with Count Dooku to escape. But I think Jar Jar once again comes and saves him.
Yeah.
Dooku gets away, but the Jedi are like, "All right, we're going to let it slide because we don't want to start a war with you." What did you think of the arc?
Yeah, no, I thought that was pretty cool because where Dooku gets captured, right? Because wasn't his ship crashed, right, on the planet? And I think that planet was in the Outer Rim, or like he was in the.
Yeah, it was like one of the like not inhabited planets.
Yeah. So I guess one of the things that I've been loving about Clone Wars is the sense of how like we're going to all these different planets and like we're just a lot of world building, which is pretty cool. So yeah, kind of seeing the whole. What I thought was pretty cool was seeing the whole Dooku basically being just like they were gonna send him off to the Republic, and I thought that was pretty cool. And like seeing it from because I think they do like a video to like the Chancellor, right? And the Chancellor just like proof of like that he's alive and that. I thought that was pretty cool because obviously Chancellor is Darth Sidious, so it's interesting like to kind of be like, okay, I'm wondering what he's actually thinking or like what his motives are.
It's probably just like, how did you get captured by pirates? What are you doing? I thought it was also cool because it expands a bit more on the Star Wars universe. Like we know there's these pirates that go about. I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah, definitely.
I thought it was like interesting as well seeing Anakin and Obi-Wan instead of like trying to like fight Dooku, they're actually working with him to escape. Which you don't
that was cool.
You never really see. And it was funny how like Anakin was just like, we should just ditch him. What are we doing? And Obi-Wan's sort of like the middle ground.
Yeah, he's always like, Obi-Wan's always like the negotiator or like the peacemaker.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I think that's what he's known as. Everyone calls him the negotiator.
Yeah.
I think in episode 1, him and Qui-Gon were sent to negotiate the blockade.
Oh yeah.
And then in episode 3, I think it is, when they fight Count Dooku, and then they go to the bridge, and General Grievous says, "Ah, the negotiator," something like that. That was a bad impression, but you catch what I'm saying. So I think it's cool seeing him being the middle ground and like saying, "No, Anakin, we need to work with Dooku. No, Dooku, be nice to Anakin." No, I thought it was a solid episode and a solid start to the pirates in the show as well.
Yeah, because we see them again as well. So
yeah, they keep on popping up throughout the whole show. And then I think that sort of like comes. I don't have anything else to say about those episodes. Do you? Cool. Episodes 13 and 14. Then this is I've called the Jedi Stranded double episode. It's where Ayla Sakura, I think that's what her name is. She is in a battle, and Anakin and Ahsoka go to save her. They save her, but Anakin gets injured, and then they're in a ship. A droid like shoots the ship in certain bits and kills one of the pilots, and it sets off the hyperdrive, and then they fly to a planet, and they crash on a planet, and it's like this weird, like land planet with all these mini people. I will call them, but can't remember what they're actually called. And they're like, "Oh, what are you doing here? You can't be here. You're gonna bring the war." And then it turns out that the Separatists were going there anyway to test a weapon, and it's all about them trying to save the village from being destroyed by this new weapon.
Yeah.
What did you think through the episodes?
So with these episodes, I thought was pretty interesting. Um, so at first I wasn't really liking it because I was just like, oh, like we're just on a deserted, like nothing cool's gonna happen, right? But it
Yeah,
was pretty interesting to see, um, like these species or this village who doesn't like the Jedi, who doesn't want, well, maybe not like, but doesn't want basically the Jedi to be involved with their
yeah,
business, and who hate the war. And yeah, I thought that was pretty cool because from watching the films, maybe I don't know, maybe I missed something, but when I was watching the film, especially episode two, which is obviously all about Attack of the Clones and stuff, you don't really get, well, I didn't necessarily get this whole lens of like this war is bad. I just thought like it was needed, like it was like a necessity, right?
yeah,
And I guess every, like with all wars, there's always like there's not necessarily one good side kind of thing. Like
yeah,
it's a war, isn't it? So I guess seeing that, um, and I guess there's quite a there's a few point, I guess, that people hold in the sense that this war wasn't good, like it wasn't needed, or like stuff like that.
yeah,
Because we know how what happens at the end of it, isn't it? So I thought it was pretty cool. Just to see these parties being like, it's actually the Jedi's fault. Like all you guys do is bring war and stuff. So that was pretty cool
yeah,
to see.
yeah, definitely. And then it was interesting, like by the end, how the people who didn't want the Jedi there were actually like, no, we actually needed you here to save us. Although if you
Yeah.
weren't here, then we would have been dead.
No, yeah, definitely.
It sort of brings the Jedi back from being soldiers to peacekeepers, which is what they like originally are.
Yeah.
Um, I think it was cool, like again seeing new clones. 'Cause I'm a sucker for a good clone. Don't want to take that out of context. But like seeing the Commander Blind, like his yellow armor, I just thought, oh, this
Oh
is like
yeah.
really cool. And then
Yeah.
seeing other Jedi as well, just expanding on the Star Wars universe.
Yeah, that
Um,
was cool.
but I don't think I've got. I liked seeing them like using their like survival skills as well, like them like setting up a little den for Anakin, going and finding new like people and civilization.
Yeah.
I thought that was really cool to see as well.
Mm.
Um, but yeah, I don't think I've got anything else to say on that episode. Do you?
No, I wouldn't say so.
Cool. That brings us to episode 15, which is called Trespass, and this is where Anakin and Obi-Wan go to the snow planet because their base has been attacked by what seems like droids, but not. No one really knows, and you find out that the Separatists have also been destroyed by whatever attacked them, and turns out that the people who like technically own the planet, like there are people who are living there which they didn't know about, and they want them to go, but they're like, no, we've been here for ages, you just didn't know about us, so we shouldn't go. And then they're like, no, we have to go, so we're going to fight you for it. And then the main leader of that army then dies. And then the senator for the planet is like, we want to live in peace. You can stay here. Here's a sign of like respect. And then they cross swords, like stick them in the ground. And then, yeah, nice symbolism for like peace. And then the episode ends. What do you think to this standalone episode?
Yeah, no, I thought it was pretty cool. I didn't like that guy. I didn't like the army captain.
Yeah.
He was just like just wanted to take what wasn't his.
Yeah.
So when he kind of got taken out, I was just like, yeah, this is some poetic justice.
Yeah, definitely.
So yeah, I thought that was pretty cool. Yeah, I'd say that's basically what I got from it. And I guess with the senator stuff, I know a lot of people don't really like that side of Star Wars, the whole Senate and like the politics.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't necessarily mind it. I think it's obviously it's useful for the plot, isn't it? Like it's so important for it and how the things go down and stuff. So I kind of like it. So like seeing how she was, because I think there were certain things that they couldn't do because like they were saying that the Jedi have no like authority here or stuff like that.
Yeah, it was just like to do with like chain of command.
Yeah, so I guess to kind of see that was pretty cool, right? Because it just reinforces the whole fact how it's like, like command and whole like military and all of that. So it's pretty interesting.
Yeah, and it shows that there is some sort of structure, and it's not just them freestyling as they go.
Yeah.
I thought it was cool. I think I like seeing like it was like reminiscent of like the Hoth, like on episode 5 with Hoth and stuff like that.
Oh yeah.
It was pretty cool. And we get to see all these like new armors and stuff like that. I thought for a standalone episode, just for what it was, with no other episodes around it, I thought it was like a really, really good episode. But like, if it would have been interesting to see if it was like part of another story arc.
Yeah,
I think
that's true.
for just a singular episode, it was really good. Cool. What? Do you have anything else, or should we move on?
Yes, we can move on.
Cool. Next one is episode 16, and it's Hidden Enemy. Fun fact about this one: it actually sets up the movie for the Clone Wars. So, if you think about the movie, it's like how like saving Jabba's son, basically.
Yeah.
In this one, they talk about it's like just before it, and you can. It's where they realize that there's some sort of mole leaking information, because they're in a battle, but they're like, well, wait, the enemy shouldn't be. The enemy knows we're here. It shouldn't know we're here, and they realize, right, there's a mole. We have to figure out who the mole is. Anakin and Obi-Wan go to find Ventress to like get her to confess and capture her. But then she gets away. Then Cody and Rex figure out who the mole is, and it's one of their sergeants who they wouldn't expect. And then they capture him, and then they're like, okay, we need to prepare because there's a battle incoming. And then it sets off saying, we haven't got this, but at least we've got our main cannons. And then to the movie, it starts off by them firing those cannons at the bad guys, and it like brings it full circle. I thought it was a good way to set up. I was like really confused though when I watched it for the first time. I was like, wait, she's here, but then because it's not really in chronological order, which I find really like trippy. Most like I'm like, wait, this happened, but this happened in that what?
Yeah, definitely,
But I thought it was cool seeing the setup for it. And I thought it was interesting how like even though there are clones, they can still be like persuaded to do the bad guy stuff. It's maybe like sets up like Order 66. Like,
that's what I was thinking. Yeah. No, definitely. I kind of see what I like about the clones is the whole sense of like, not to talk about season 2, but there's some episodes where you see a bit more, find out more about the clones and stuff. Like, you get a bit more of their viewpoint of the war. So what I liked from this episode as well was how like I think when Cody and Rex basically find him out, he was just like, oh, you didn't choose to be, none of us chose to be in this war and stuff like that. So I guess it's kind of cool, isn't it? Because just they're clones, right? So you just think they live to just obey the Republic and carry out the orders, but some of them have like their own will and like desires and stuff. So that's pretty interesting.
Yeah, definitely. I think we've hit the nail on the head with that episode. That we need to say anything more about it. Up next, we've got episode 17 and 18, which is the Blue Shadow virus episodes. There's a new virus on Naboo, or an old virus that's come back somehow.
Yeah.
And then Padme goes to investigate, and then Obi-Wan and Anakin, Ahsoka, and the rest of the army follow suit when they figure out it's actually a separatist base who are bringing her back the Blue Shadow virus, which can kill basically anything and anyone. And then episode 18, some of the main characters like Padme, Ahsoka, and the clones end up getting it, and it's about Anakin and Obi-Wan who are out of the base now, free of the virus, and they find a cure for it and bring it back. Interesting. A Blue Shadow virus could be coronavirus, an airborne virus that people can get. So maybe George Lucas knew the whole time, or Dave Filoni knew. But what did you think of the episode?
I thought it wasn't one of the ones that I enjoyed the most. But I do like seeing Padme and Jar Jar. I just like seeing them on the screen. I think they're such a funny like duo. Because always like Jar Jar always just messes something up, or like he bumps into something. So I think that was pretty cool. And so with the whole Shadow and like the scientist, I thought that was very. I think it's one of like the first times you see that kind of theme, or like that kind of those kind of characters in Star Wars, right? Like the evil scientist and.
Thinking back, it's like a pretty dark theme. Like there's a scientist and he wants to basically create death.
Yeah, basically, yeah.
You think about from that point of view, it's like, wait, this is actually pretty dark. It makes you
Yeah.
think, why is this a kid's show? But I
Yeah.
thought it was really cool, and again, it brings back this pretty much a prequel theme,
Mm.
bringing back the original trilogy, or not the original trilogy, the original trio. Well, not the original
Yeah.
trio, but the prequel trio. And again, it's on Naboo as well, so we see some
Yeah.
familiar characters like the security captain.
Yeah.
So from that point of view, I thought it was really cool. But again, it's not the best duo episodes. What I
Mm.
did like about episode 18, when Anakin and Obi-Wan flew to that planet, and there was a kid who had like reprogrammed loads of
Oh
battle droids
yeah.
as well. I thought
Yeah.
that was really cool, seeing like how like the separatists, they go to a place, and then when there is, oh, we don't need it anymore, they just left
Mm.
what they don't need.
Yeah, that's cool.
Um, I thought that was funny. I think they were using the Vulture droids as like a hammock, and they were like using their legs to like rock the hammock, and then there was a droid there just being used as a radio.
Yeah.
I thought that was funny.
And
Um,
like they were giving him drinks and stuff like that.
yeah,
That was
and
pretty
then
cool.
as soon as like Anakin arrives, he gets this like, oh, droids, destroy them all, and then
Yeah.
they're like, welcome to the planet, and then Obi-Wan comes back with his sarcasm, like, well done, Anakin, you've just destroyed 30 defense destroyed.
Yeah.
I thought that
No,
was funny.
I liked that because I think the kid kind of gave me vibes of like Anakin when he was young, in the
Yeah,
sense of, when Anakin was young, he always tinkered around the tech and stuff. And I feel like that could have been like if that happened to like Tatooine or something like that Anakin could have been that guy basically. So it was pretty cool to see
mm,
because especially within like the season one, I'm not sure the later seasons, but you don't really see, and even in the films as well to an extent. Once like Anakin comes out of Tatooine and joins the Jedi,
yeah,
you don't really see that like the Anakin who was,
the
I don't
gadget
know if, yeah,
guy.
the gadget guy, the engineer, who
Yeah,
fixed gadgets and stuff. You don't really see him do that, so it's kind of cool to see that.
yeah, definitely. I agree with you. I thought it was cool, like seeing them escape the planet as well, because there was like that
Mm.
shield thing that
Oh
destroyed
yeah,
ships. Seeing that sort of like brings back like the Anakin is like the best starfighter in the galaxy,
yeah,
or star pilot in the galaxy. So again, it just brings more to
yeah,
the universe or the lore, and you're like, oh, I remember that. But I didn't really even think about the point you made about him being like a young Anakin and stuff like
yeah.
that. I thought that's good. Anything else you want to add to the?
Um, no, we didn't say so. I actually, okay, so I may be wrong, but I think this is the episode where, so when the Jedi Council like find out that Padme's there
Mhm.
and stuff, like Anakin freaks out, isn't it?
Yeah,
And then they're like, why are you freaking out? Because obviously they don't know about Anakin and Padme. So I
yeah,
guess seeing scenes like that with some of the episodes where like Anakin gets super stressed and stuff,
yeah.
and then like Obi-Wan or like Mace Windu just looks at him really weirdly, like, what's going on? So I kind of find that funny.
He's a simp lord.
Yeah.
No, I'm pretty sure that Anakin would do anything for Padme.
Yeah.
Literally anything.
The man literally went to the dark side for Padme.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and then
so
end up
yeah.
killing her.
Yeah.
Anyways, so I think that touches on those episodes. Up next, we've got
Mm.
the final like arc of episodes. That's 19, 20, and 21.
Yeah.
It's the Ryloth arc. Starts
Mm.
off with Anakin and Ahsoka trying to break through the blockade to get to the planet, and it's like Ahsoka's first time leading a mission on herself. Fails the first time, and then she has to try again, and it's all about her like bringing up the confidence to actually do it and
Yeah.
using her creativity to get through it. Um, and that episode ends with Anakin basically using his empty, damaged ship as a battering ram, destroying the separatist ship again, reminiscent of episode 1, maybe, when he
Mm.
blows up the same similar station.
Yeah.
And then they get through the blockade. Episode 20 is Obi-Wan like breaking the first line of defense, which has got all the cannons and stuff. And then they manage to do that, but we see that they are using like the people of Ryloth as like a human shield, so they don't just missile down and kill
Mm.
everyone. It was all about them doing that, and then the two clone troopers called Wax from Boyle, they get separated and they
Mm.
stumble across one of the kids whose parents have been captured in the human shield.
Oh yeah.
and they build like a little a fun little like brotherly sisterly
Oh yeah.
relationship with that. And then that episode ends with them breaking and setting all the people free. And then episode 21 is basically Mace Windu. It's this like major first episode in the show,
Yeah.
capturing the guy who was holding Ryloth, working with like some what it for the planet, some like the extremists in the show in that planet. What do you think to the arc?
I liked it. You know, seeing Mace Windu on the screen, that was pretty cool.
Mm.
Mace Windu's obviously a fan favorite. What I liked about it was the clones with the little girl. I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah, there's definitely some wholesome Star Wars.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. Seeing that, uh, yeah, just with and just how like the interactions between the clones is just so funny, especially like when they're not around the Jedi
Yeah,
and stuff. It's just pretty cool to see. So I think that was pretty cool. And how we found out, I think it's the end of that episode where because she keeps like obviously they don't understand what she's saying.
yeah,
Like she keeps saying a word over and over, and then they're like, "What does it mean?" And Obi-Wan's like, "Oh, it means brother." So I
yeah,
thought that was pretty sweet to see.
yeah.
Um, yeah, so that was pretty cool.
No, when we get to a bit, I think it's in season 5. I'll make a point to you, and you're like, oh, I didn't even notice that, and you're like, oh, because you see those clones again,
Oh,
and
okay.
there's like little things like that reference her,
Mm,
and there's also like I've seen in Rebels, I think the spin-off show from
yeah.
this where I think she comes back and you actually see her like as a adult,
Okay, that's
which is
cool.
pretty cool. But I won't say anything out unless we do like a Rebels review. But probably not because it's not my favorite show. So I don't want to rewatch that again. Nah, I think the Mace Windu episode was really cool because we got to see
Yeah.
one Mace Windu, but then we get to see this other cool character, um, the like leader of the group. I'll call them the extremist group. They're not really an extreme.
Mm,
The freedom fighters, and
mm,
you get to see all this like character exchange. I thought it was really cool. And the first episode that you see like I think it was Admiral Yularen, and he gets like injured, and then
mm.
he comes back to Stoke and says, "Look, it's okay. It was a mistake. It happens in battle. Like
Oh yeah.
you're not going to win all the time. You just have to come back stronger." Stuff like that. I thought it was really cool, and like from like a show, thinking like this is made for kids. It's a very strong message for them as well.
Yeah,
Um,
definitely.
but yeah, I don't think I have too much to say on those episodes. I
Mm-mm.
think probably one of the cooler story arcs, and like it ends sort of like the series. Well, it doesn't end the show because there's another episode after that
Yeah.
season. But that's like a cool like show to or story arc to end on. Because I remember I used to get like the DVDs like of the complete seasons,
Oh.
and it was done like by disc.
Oh
So
wow.
like I think disc 1 was like 1 to 5, and then 6 to 10, 15 to something like
Yeah.
that, and it was like cool. Like each disc had like a trilogy in it.
Oh yeah.
I was like, oh, that's cool. And like I remember like disc 4 was like one of my favorites. I don't think I've got the DVD set anymore because I don't need it because Disney Plus. But yeah,
Yeah.
um, so I think that brings us on to the final episode of the season. That is Hostage Crisis. Um,
Mm.
Cad Bane and a group of bounty hunters have been paid to free Zero the Hutt, who was captured in the movie.
Oh yeah.
And the way they do it is they hold a bunch of senators hostage, and they basically say, "Free our boy, or we're
Yeah.
going to kill them all." And then they suddenly find out that Anakin's there, and Anakin sort of saves the senators, but that's after they've freed Zero, because I think they were trapped in like a boundary of like bombs,
Yeah.
and if they said if you step past the boundary, the bombs will go off, and then Anakin just grabs his lightsaber, cuts a hole, and then they fall to safety. What do you think to the arc, or not the arc, the episode?
Yeah. I liked. So that's the first time we see Cad Bane, right? The bounty hunter.
Yeah,
Um, so I liked it because season 2 starts with him again, isn't it? So
hmm
I liked that to see that. That was pretty cool. What else did I like about it? Now, because it leads into season 2, I kind of forget, but is this of when they hold the senators, right? Padme's there, isn't it?
Yeah,
And like Padme has Anakin's lightsaber.
yeah, because he like says to her like, I trust you.
Yeah,
Here's my lightsaber,
yeah,
and then they get separated, and she's like, I've got this lightsaber. I don't know what to do.
yeah. That was pretty cool to see. Yeah, I liked that. Um, but I think most of the stuff that I really liked from the episode was basically just seeing like Cad Bane. I think he's a
Yeah,
pretty cool bounty hunter, and especially you see, I don't know if it's from this episode, but it's like when obviously Palpatine, it's like telling him the orders of what to do, which is pretty cool.
yeah,
So yeah,
yeah.
that's pretty.
I think it was this episode where Palpatine finds out who Cad Bane is and what he's capable of, and
Yeah,
then touching on season 2 slightly, he contacts Cad Bane. Is like, okay, I know what
yeah,
you can do. I need you to do this for me.
yeah,
I'll pay you whatever you want, but you're the only person who can do it.
yeah. I
Um,
think I know that's what I really liked about this episode because you know as within Star Wars, the Jedi, they're like the strongest people in the galaxy, isn't it? Like,
yeah,
there's no one on their level. Like, the only people, I guess, that can like combat them or fight against them is like the Sith.
yeah,
So when you see bounty hunters, I guess that's why I like the Mandalorian as well. Like, so when you see all of these other characters in this universe,
yeah.
well, in a sense, it doesn't make the Jedi weaker, but I guess, it's just there's a lot more. What's the word?
Like there's a bit more competition.
Yeah, competition, right? So there's a lot more people. So like not everyone's afraid of the Jedi.
Yeah,
People will fight back. So I guess that was pretty cool to see.
yeah,
Because you
uh,
don't really get that in the films that a little bit.
yeah, slightly. But I think bounty hunters have always been popular in the Star Wars
Yeah,
universe. Like
definitely.
you have Jango Fett, who was popular in
Yeah.
the prequels. You've got Boba Fett,
Boba.
who was like everyone's favorite bounty hunter.
Yeah.
And then now you've got Cad Bane, I think
Yeah.
Ura Singh and some other smaller bounty hunters, but they've always been like popular, like Bosk
Yeah.
as well. Even though you don't see
Oh
him in
yeah.
action, everyone was like, "Oh, this cool lizard guy in episode 5 who made a brief appearance."
Yeah, no, that's true. They do love the bounty hunters. I think,
And now we've got Mandalorian, who
yeah.
everyone's going crazy for, including
Yeah.
me.
Yeah, he's my favorite.
He's good. Yeah. Do you have anything else you want to touch on that episode?
Um, I think it's a strong finish to the season.
Yeah.
In the sense of you're getting in these new kind of like villains, like these bounty hunters, and obviously everyone loves bounty hunters, right? So seeing that and having Anakin in, yeah, it's pretty cool. I think it's a pretty cool finish, I'd say.
Yeah, I agree with you. Okay, so that last little bit, final thoughts on the season. I want to hear your favorite episode, least favorite episode, and then an overall rating out of 10 for this season.
Oh, okay. So I've got the episodes here, so I'm thinking, let me say my least favorite. I think my least favorite episodes were, I wasn't necessarily a fan of when they were in that planet. So when Anakin was, I think that's probably my least favorite.
Which one was that?
Was it episode? The Jedi Crash episode? Yeah, episode 13.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'd say that. I guess no, that and the virus. Those were I'd say they were my least. Now my favorite ones. Oh, that's a hard one. I really liked I really liked One Adventurous. So I think that's episode 10. Is that episode 10? No, episode 9.
Episode 9.
Yeah, so episode 9, I really liked that because there's a really cool fight scene with Ventress and Numenera, and then Numenera is like losing, and then Ahsoka comes in and helps. So I really like that. And that's like one of my favorite things in Star Wars when it's like either 2 versus 1 or like 2 versus 2. I really like those kind of fights.
Yeah.
So yeah, that episode plus I'd say maybe Ryloth was a pretty cool arc. But yeah, no, I say the Ventress one, yeah. That's probably my favorite episode. I think to rate out of 10. No, I'd say a 7. It was a good start. I think obviously picks up, gets better. For example, I
Yeah,
love season two. Like season two is amazing.
yeah.
Um,
I think the animation gets a lot better as well with
oh
season
yeah,
two. I think they realize
yeah,
that, oh, we've actually got a big audience here, and I
yeah,
think they must have a little bit of a inflation in
yeah.
budget.
Budget. Yeah.
Um,
No, yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think it's what the season's good is in a sense, because what's so great about the Clone Wars, a lot of people think like it's got some of the best stories in like all of Star Wars, right?
mhm.
So I guess what's really cool is I guess seeing the small adventures. Because
Yeah,
sometimes you see a film like episode one and two is like how many it's obviously it's a time gap, and then episode two and three is a time gap as well.
yeah,
So seeing a lot of those adventures within those gaps is pretty cool.
yeah,
So yeah,
definitely.
yeah,
Cool. Yeah, I think my least favorite episode, looking at it now, it's hard to pick because they're not, none of them are really bad, which is
yeah.
hard. But I think probably my least favorite one is probably, yeah, the episode 13 of the Jedi Stranded one. It's pretty
Mm,
boring because all the action happens in the next episode.
yeah.
And then my favorite one is probably episode 10, which is the one following your one, which is the lair
Mm,
of General Grievous.
yeah, that's a good one.
That's my favorite, and I'll give it a 7 out of 10 as
Mm,
well because it does pick up a lot more. But yeah, anyway, I think that does it for the episode. Thank you for coming on. We'll do this again sometime
yeah.
soon.
Thanks for having me.
No worries. You'll be a familiar face around here, no doubt. But yeah, I'll link your socials down
Yeah, that'd
below.
be great.
So go
Cheers.
check out Sam. Um, listen to another episode if you want, and we'll see you next time on Game of Clones. See ya.